welcome. You are listening to the Just Love Them podcast. I'm your host, Cherie Best. Recently, I read a testimonial from Marianne who said, I really liked how because papers helped me get to the bottom of what was bothering me so much. So glad to hear that you are using because papers, Marianne, and I hope that all my listeners are trying these amazing tools. This is part 3 of preparing for a healing conversation. I'm driving down the road on my way to run an errand on the other side of town for my aunt. I am alone in the car. And as I'm driving, I'm thinking about a recent interaction with a friend that's been bothering me for a couple of days. In my mind, I mull over and over the conversation. This friend is having marital trouble, and for a while now, I feel like she's been taking her frustration out on me. This last conversation left me seething. I wondered to myself, how have I become the punching bag for all her troubles? I need to say something to her, but I need to be careful. I'm not ready to let go of the friendship over this, but feeling like I'm the butt of her frustration needs to stop. As I'm driving, I decide to talk to her, even though she isn't actually there. I picture her sitting in the passenger seat beside me. I imagine that she is the best version of herself, not angry like me. Out loud, I ask her if I can talk to her. Because I'm imagining that she's the best version of herself in my mind, she says yes. Then I let her have it in a way I never would if she was actually there. Because this is my visualization, I can say anything I want to, any way I want to, and she receives it graciously. So I really let her have it. I rant on and on about everything that's bothering me, everything that's hurting my feelings or offending me or making me mad. I say everything I can't say to her actual face. I need to get it out. I am accusatory and angry. I yell. I don't sugarcoat anything. I just say it or I yell it. I'm sure anyone looking over in the cars next to me as I am driving must think I'm crazy. I don't look right or left to confirm this. By the time I reach my destination, I have gotten it all out. Boy, does that feel good. I sit in the parking lot and I think, is there anything else I forgot to say? Nope, that's everything. I take a deep breath. Then I thank her. Wait, you say, pause the story. Why are you thanking her? I'm thanking her for listening to me. I imagine that she smiles and says, "You're welcome," in a pleasant voice. That's the great thing about an imagination. You can imagine it any way you want. And I want her to listen and take it all in without the least offense, something that you would likely not get in reality. Next, I apologize to her. Wait, you say. I thought you said it was all her fault, which it rarely is. Just hold on. I'm getting to that part. I apologize for my negative emotions, and I apologize for pointing them at her. I'm apologizing for my negative energy, my strong emotions, and I'm apologizing for pointing all that negative emotional energy at her. This has nothing to do with whose fault it is. This has to do with me and how I feel on the inside. Of course, I imagine her freely forgiving me immediately with a smile on her face. Still sitting in my car, I bow my head and I say a quick and silent prayer to God, asking for His forgiveness as well for my negative emotions. I don't have to imagine His response. A mild, peaceful, warm feeling comes into me, and I feel better. But that's ridiculous, you say. Just imagining all of this doesn't actually change anything in the real world, does it? When you study energy and vibration, you learn that all emotions have actual energy to them, and that changing my vibration actually does shift energy toward the person I'm directing it at. A fabulous book on this subject is The Hidden Messages in Water. It's fascinating. Later that day, I receive a phone call from this friend. She tells me that she's been thinking about our last conversation together. She tells me that she's been feeling unsettled and that she thinks she was too harsh toward me. She apologizes. Of course, I freely forgive her immediately with a smile on my face, and our friendship is strengthened once more. Does all of this seem a little woo-woo to you? I thought so too before I tried it. I have since used this technique many times and had many conversations with others who have also regularly had success with this process of letting go of strong emotions. And while I don't know all the reasons that it works, it does work. But don't take my word for it. Try it yourself. Keep in mind, this does not mean that you have some strange power to make people do what you want. You don't. And people have varying responses to this process. What it does do is it gets the negative energy out of the way so that the positive energy can step in and work in you and ripple out to that other person. In episode 24, which was part 1 of getting ready to have a healing conversation, we talked about a process called write and burn to get strong emotions out before you have a conversation. Episode 26 and part 2 of this series was using because papers to go deeper into emotions, to find the root of what triggers those strong emotions. Today's conclusion to this 3-part series is called Spirit to Spirit. It's the process I've just described to you. Let's take a minute and review what a healing conversation is and why you would want to have one. A healing conversation is a conversation where listening to understand happens, where the other person feels emotionally safe to share with you, where honest questions can be asked and answered, and where understanding, compassion, and love are the result. Why? To preserve and strengthen relationships with the people you care about deeply. It's so worth it. As you well know, you are only in charge of you. And the wonderful thing is, you get to decide what that looks like. You have the power over that. You don't need to white knuckle it. You don't need to use all your energy to keep yourself from saying things that may damage the relationship. And you don't need to have your buttons pushed and get triggered. You truly can get yourself in order on the inside and come to the conversation from a place of peace and from a place of love. This is the best place to be emotionally when you have a planned or a spontaneous conversation with someone you love who's left their faith. That is why I'm sharing these valuable tools with you. They have literally changed my relationships and my life. I hope you're trying them. I hope you're using them. But just like any good tool, it does no good just sitting there on the workbench. A tool is only of value if you pick it up and you use it as it was intended. We've talked about 2 valuable tools, write and burn and because papers, and you've just heard me describe today's valuable tool. Just so you know, there are so many possible awesome tools to help you get in order on the inside. These are just a few of them. The first 2 tools involve journaling. This one doesn't. Spirit to Spirit involves using your imagination and your mental energy to speak to the other person. Are you open-minded to trying it? Let me walk you through the process. There are 7 steps. Number 1, you definitely want to be alone. You don't want any of this negative garbage that you're spewing to land on anybody else who might be in earshot. So you definitely want to be alone. That's why I love to do it in my car, because if my windows are rolled up and I'm going somewhere, or even if I'm just sitting there, nobody can hear me. I'm definitely alone. Cars are awesome for that. Number 2, Invite the best version of the other person to join you. It's perfect. You're in a car, there's a seat right next to you, just waiting for them. Number 3, ask if you can share how you feel with them, and then imagine their response. I've never had anybody say no in my imagination. It could happen, but I've never had anybody say no. Number 4, say everything. You don't have to sugarcoat it. You don't have to be tactful. You can just say whatever is on your mind, and it just can come out however it comes out. You can yell, whatever you want to do, but say everything. Number 5, when you've gotten it all out, you're going to thank them for listening to you. And number 6, which is possibly the hardest, especially when you might feel that it's all the other person's fault and that you are the victim. That's to apologize. You're apologizing for having negative emotions and for pointing them at them. That's what you're apologizing for. Now, if there's anything else that you need to apologize for in the process, well, it's the perfect time. But you for sure are apologizing for your negative emotions and pointing them toward them, because that energy really does go toward them. And number 7, you're going to apologize to God in prayer for the same thing. You may truly not have done anything wrong. You truly may be the victim, but you're apologizing to God for your negative emotions and pointing it at someone else as well. After you do that apology to God, sit there and listen and wait for what comes. These are powerful steps. I'm going to go ahead and put these 7 steps on the Facebook group. So if you didn't write them down, it's all good. You can go to the Facebook group and they'll be listed there. Then watch for what happens. It may be subtle. It may be big. If nothing else, you have gotten your negative emotions out and you've put yourself in order on the inside, and you will feel different. You will feel better. And when you feel different, you'll show up differently with others. I've been using all 3 of these tools for over 10 years, along with some others. Most people develop a favorite tool. I have a close friend who her favorite tool is Spirit to Spirit. I've described before that my favorite go-to is Write and Burn. And different tools work better for different situations and depths of emotion. You'll figure it out as you try them out. Write and Burn is awesome for getting the heated emotions out so you can have a kind conversation where you actually say things in a Christ-like way instead of spewing negative garbage and accusations all over the other person. It's great for getting all that out so that you can come to the conversation in a Christ-like way. Because papers are super effective at getting to the root of what's triggering you. Once you get to the root, you can literally let it go. And Spirit to Spirit is a great way to have a conversation with someone that you might not be able to have in person. And it allows you to say what you need to say and take responsibility for your own emotions in the process. When you use these valuable tools, when you use them, don't leave them sitting on your workbench. They literally will help you get into the space where you are ready to have healing conversations, to heal the relationships that matter to you the most with the people that you love, who've chosen a different path than you have. So give them a try. I can't wait to hear about it. Please get on the Just Love Them Facebook group and share your experience and your questions. I'll see you there. If you're ready for some personalized help, go to CherieBest.com and book a free introductory mini session. As always, you can find the links in the show notes along with the link to the book, The Hidden Messages in Water by Masaru Emoto. And join me again next time for another episode of Just Love Them.